Assalamu alaikum and good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here and inviting me over. It's such a privilege. I would like to share with you my passion for education of the youth. I would like to take you on a journey beyond academics. Now, when you talk about going beyond academics, it's not something I talk about lightly. This is not a travel itinerary. This is basically the amount of thought, input, exposure that has gone into this transformation. I was an expat brat, as they're called. I was brought up in the Middle East, so my education started somewhere around here. Then my family decided to move to Pakistan. So I'm honored to be a Pakistani graduate. I did my primary schooling from here, my secondary schooling from here, my medicine from here. So I am foundationally a Pakistani graduate. I'm a part and a product of this education system. As luck would have it, Pakistan was just one of the stops on my journey. I had the opportunity to go back to the Middle East. I had an opportunity to be trained in France. I had an opportunity to be trained in the UK. And finally, in 2014, somehow, I ended up in Denmark. For those of you who may know this little country, it's a part of Scandinavia. The biggest influences on my thoughts on education originate from my experiences in Pakistan and how they were transformed after 2014 when I landed in Denmark. And we'll look into this. What changed primarily in my thinking was in Pakistan, I was trained to focus on these grades, report cards, scores. Why? The primary lesson that was drummed into my head as a kid was, you need to study. You need to get good grades. Why do we need to get good grades? Because if you don't get good grades, you won't get into a good school. If you don't get into a good school, you won't become a professional. And even the professions were, of course, predetermined by powers that be, namely our parents. Why do we want to do that? Because then they want to make sure that you earn a decent living and have a good place in society. Now, what's missing here? We have the whole planned ahead. Get good grades, study, be competitive. Focus on being in the top 3. Anything else is not enough, right? You learn to be competitive, but you also learn to go solo. You forget about collaboration, you forget about working with people, and you forget about what will happen when you get where you need to go. We train people to go from one place to another, from destination to destination. We don't tell them, we don't teach them what they need to do when they get there, how to work out, how to live, how to survive. Imagine education that just doesn't train you for your dream job, but trains you for your dream life. That's what I learned in Denmark. So the focus shifted from grades to students, to people, to individuals who we want to make sure get the best chance of succeeding in life. That's what's missing. You know, the sad part is, I did my O-levels in 1990, did my medicine in 1998. Today's 2024. We're still focused primarily on these. That's what needs to shift. That's the mindset we are looking to change. I'm a very big advocate of soft skills. I mean, soft skills is a very, very sort of fluffy term that it honestly has the name soft in it, so it couldn't get any fluffier, right? So, what are soft skills? If something is soft, then something must be hard as well. So they have to be hard skills as well, right? So hard skills are knowledge that you need to do a job. That's technical knowledge. Accountants need to know accounting. Finance people need to know economics and how they work the books. Doctors need to know medicine. These are all hard skills. On the other hand, soft skills are a bit more fluffier, but very important. They're behavioral and interpersonal skills. How you interact with people and how you interact with society. What makes you grow? What fosters innovation? That's the soft skills, not the hard skills. I'm not going to underrate hard skills because at the end of the day, academics are very important. But soft skills are just as equally important. That's why the weightage is the same, and that's what makes the difference between progression as a society, being good citizens, and being what we are right now. There's a commonality in both, and I know this will spark a controversy. Everybody knows you can train on hard skills. You can train, you can get educated. And like any skill, like playing the piano, for example, you have to practice. There's this myth about 10,000 hours to get to a world-class level. Of course, that's just utterly rubbish. You just need to practice. You need to focus on that practice. 10,000 hours without focus and dedication and planning is just 10,000 hours wasted. But you need to practice. And I'm a strong believer and advocate that soft skills can also be trained and taught. You just have to know what they are, how they play a role. Some examples of common soft skills, which if any of you will, of course, all of you will apply to jobs at some stage. You'll receive something called a prometric test. You will get those IQ-type tests that check your ability for critical thinking, problem solving, pattern recognition, communication skills. That's how important soft skills are, that your future employers, your universities that you want to apply to, are looking to make sure that you have that before they let you in. That's how important they are. Let's have a quick look, right? Communication, of course, is key. What we forget is communication is two-way. You have to learn to listen as well. You have to learn to understand and comprehend as well, not just talk. And when you talk, it has to be concise. It has to be clear. You have to make sure what you're saying gets across the right way. Everybody's heard of the Chinese whisper trick, right? You start at one end of the room, you say something, and by the end, it's a completely different thing. That's an example of poor communication. Collaboration. How to work together as teams. Like I said, our current education system is so competitive, we are fighting against each other. We want to beat the next person. We want to be the best at it. We don't want to work with somebody. And you know why this is important? The world is a global village now. 46% of the population is now freelancing, just to give you an idea. Conventional jobs are there, but of course, there's a finite number. You have people going into entrepreneurship. You have people going into other avenues and exploring new horizons, as the topic says. Collaboration is essential, and it's an art form, trust me. Collaboration does not mean simply going and talking to somebody and working on something. Try it. It's difficult. Try cooking with somebody. Try cooking with your mother, try cooking with your partner, try cooking with your husband, and see how quickly you end up having a fight. It's as simple as that. This is just the simplest form of collaboration, and we can't do it. Critical thinking, problem solving, emotional intelligence, knowing and recognizing how you're feeling and addressing it properly, appropriately, not having outbursts, not getting overwhelmed by them. That has to be taught. We are taught to repress emotions. We are taught to keep a stoic face. Don't show anybody what's going on. Internalize everything, and then one fine day we combust. And then people say, oh my God, he's gone nuts. Right? That's not the case. We have never been taught how to handle this. There's so many of these, work ethic, listening, conflict resolution, but I think one of the most important skills that we need to teach is stress management. Go back to your school days. Those of you who are students, you remember this. Every day is a stress. Exams are stress. Dealing with your parents, stress. Fulfilling their expectations, stress. Not fulfilling their expectations, bigger stress. Exams, achievements, internships, etc. Those of us in jobs or businesses, we are very familiar with stress. We are the ones who get the heart attacks, right? High blood pressures, cholesterol dysregulation, diabetes, spouses. It's all a part of the phenomena. How do you regulate that? How do you manage that? Has anybody taught anybody this? No. Especially kids? No. And they're the most vulnerable part of our entire system. Our kids. Just to illustrate the example of the importance of soft skills, I'll give you a couple of scenarios, right? Meet Fatima, an imaginary persona, nobody in particular. Fatima is an A student, a valedictorian. She has outstanding results. Teachers speak very highly of her. She's so focused on her education that she doesn't even socialize that well. She's a typical nerd, as it's called. I've interviewed several Fatimas when they apply for internships, when they apply for positions, when they apply for a job. A lot of times, they're so confident about their academic achievements and their abilities that they forget how to communicate. They're sitting in front of you, they can't explain what they have done, who they are. They get flustered. They've never had to do that. The grades are the thing that speaks for them, right? They don't know how to collaborate because they are so isolated. And the poor girls get stressed, and they're so afraid that they're going to disappoint somebody. They're going to fail. On the other hand, we have, well, I was planning on calling him Fatma as well, just to be equal, but then I decided, okay, fine. Let's call him Adil. That's what the confusion on the top. It's not fat. Now, Adil is basically he's a good student. He does well. Nothing extraordinary, though. Wouldn't get any medals home. But he knows the subject. He's a brilliant listener. His friends go to him to talk about their problems, to share things. He listens. His friends feel that he's somebody they can reach out to. He has empathy. His parents are happy with him. He's respectful. He works on projects with his class fellows. He believes, and there's no I in the word team. Naturally, because of this sort of a disposition, he usually ends up taking the lead in a lot of non-academic activities as well. He could be the leader of the debate team, for example. He could be somebody who's organizing this event. He could be somebody who's running for class president and wins. When such people come for interviews, they are very confident. They are able to express themselves. They're able to communicate with clarity. It's such a pleasure interviewing such kids. They know exactly who they are, and they're willing to learn. They have a growth mindset. Now, academics versus soft skills. Who do you think you would hire? Somebody who is unable to communicate even though they have brilliant scores? Or somebody who can actually get things done because they know how to work with people? They know how to communicate. I don't know, but I would rather go with option number 2 because I have several times. This is a differentiator, a crucial one that we miss out on. We don't teach our kids to be this. As I mentioned, Fatma is petrified of disappointing people. So I have a question here. Why are we so afraid of failing? Why are we so afraid of failure? When a child is born, he has no concept of failure. First of all, we teach the child what it is to be afraid because we need to control him or her, not being misogynistic, equal opportunity here. Then we teach them failure is bad. Do we know what failure is ourselves? We actually don't. Just think about it. What is failure? Not achieving a goal? Not passing an exam? What is failure? Failure should not be a label. It's a societal thing. You are basically worried about what will people think about you. You're worried about disappointing people. Failure is actually extremely important. Everybody in this room has failed and hopefully failed several times because failure is the first step of learning. You never learn if you don't fail. So we need to remove this taboo. We need to actually train people to embrace failure and how to do it properly, the right way. So coming back to the original story, 2014 onwards, my experience living with Danish people. What did I learn? I was blessed that I had my kid there, so I got an opportunity to look at the education system from the point of view of a parent. I got to see what the education system has done to people who worked with me. And, fun, I also got to look at the system as a student because I did a fellowship from there. So let me tell you, it's an eye-opener. And I actually felt, for the first time, I felt sorry for what I'd been through in life because I just realized that I had been traumatized. And this is the way it should have been done. The reason there's no picture here is that I want to talk about this. In Scandinavian countries, they believe education has to be holistic. Right from the point when the child is born, the first letter that they receive that the child is born is a welcoming letter in the name of the child. So he's given the identity of an individual the moment he's born. No kaka, no munna, no nothing. The government calls him by his name. Welcome to the world. That establishes an identity right there. The child goes to the daycare. And the entire focus of daycare is play learning. But not just playing alone, that you sit in a corner and play. No. It's about playing with other people, sharing, how to navigate social norms, how to develop those network and neural pathways, that you know how to collaborate. We don't do that, right? We should. There are programs in Finland, there are programs in Denmark, there are programs in Sweden. They focus a lot on mental health. It's called an SEL program. They teach children to recognize emotions through pictorial stories right from the beginning. They teach them how to process those feelings. So you have people who are very, very calm. They don't lash out. They take criticism very positively, which is something I wish we would learn to do. And they are confident in any situation. There is no exam pressure per se. There are no annual exams. There are no tests. It's an ongoing evaluation every single day. The teachers are trained to evaluate students. It's all about enjoying education, getting them to love getting education rather than hating the whole concept of going to school. You teach them, they learn through playing, they learn through working together, they learn by working on projects, they learn by going out. And at the end of the day, they don't have pressure of exams are coming up. They do have exams at the end of, let's say, it's a complete set of education, right? Even in the university level, when you're actually defending a thesis, again, it's an interview. Teaching mindfulness is, of course, there as well. That's a very good technique for stress busting. I'm sure we'll hear more about that. And the most important thing is they are taught to embrace failure. The best thing about that I learned in my stay is the term fail fast, fail forward. That means anticipate that you'll fail, but do not just give up in despair. Just learn what you did wrong, move on to the next stage, do the next thing, and that way you will actually move forward. So how do we do it? How do we bring this mind change around? We need a mindset shift. We need to start thinking differently. As educators, as parents, as students, as policymakers, we need to bring the focus from grades back to the students. We need to train the trainers. We need to train the educators in modern methods. And we need to educate the parents. That's very important. Nurture the child. Don't put your expectations on him. Don't put the expectations of society on him that you will get blamed, that you didn't take care of the kid or you didn't bring him up. It's a major shift. It's not easy. So with that, I'll leave you with a quote from Malcolm X. Education is a passport to the future. For tomorrow belongs to people who prepare for it today. Thank you so much.